The wait for Chris Wondolowski is over, and how he broke the all-time scoring record in MLS is a brilliant achievement for him. Taking a look at his numbers certainly speaks volumes. He's eclipsed Landon Donovan, and 148 goals, 4 of those coming on Saturday against the Chicago Fire, and they're under the number of games that it took Landon as well. Great moment for him.
A tremendous moment for him, and I think it's one that reflects what hard work and perseverance and self-belief can do for a player that, oh, by the way, when he was drafted back in 2005, I was there with him in the San Jose Earthquakes, came into the league as a developmental player, and people may not be familiar with that, but a developmental player is essentially a guy that is struggling to make ends meet. I know that very well because I went through it myself early on in my career. And so there, you have to have a certain amount of personality, confidence, self-belief in saying, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm meant to do. This is my dream, and I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to make it work. And for Wando, it didn't happen right away. In fact, there were struggles early on, and he struggled to get onto the field because, frankly, there were other players in front of him that might have had more experience, were also scoring goals, and he just didn't have the repetition. But once he got that real chance with true confidence from a head coach that believed in them, now what you saw is that trait and that part of his game that you just envy as a fellow striker, and that is finding places on the field where the ball is going to bounce to you and you're going to be on the end of it and you're going to tap it in and score goals. And so many of Wando's goals were like that. Positioning, reading the play, reading a bounce, understanding that there is something about the ability of reading where a ball is going to be, anticipating, instinct. Those things you can't teach. And Wando has had that over the course of his career. And the amount of goals that he has scored is just absolutely, completely ridiculous. And I'm so proud of him because I know what the beginning looked like for Chris Wondolowski. And to see where he was and where he is now, it truly is a story of American success in this country, in soccer, in a league that has seen a player grow up and mature and become now a historical part of this league.
It's a story that, as you've mentioned there, and as the numbers really speak for themselves, they show that it might not have happened that way. I mean, those 6 years where he got 7 goals, and then in the last 10 years, 141. But the skill that you talk about, that innate ability as a goal scorer, it makes up a part of the game of many of the world's top strikers, and it's what sets them apart maybe in a class of their own. His attributes, physically or technically, they might not be up there, but that innate ability is what's seen him effectively not just have a stellar career, but one that now will go down in the record books.
And I can tell you, I'll take you back to 2005. We're in preseason and we were playing against Kansas City in Bradenton, Florida. He comes on the field, scores a little chip-in goal, a little bit of filth, a little bit of something. And I'm playing alongside him. He's a first-year player. I've already been in the league for a few years, and I'm thinking, well, that was something. Because you don't really see that happening with a lot of the rookies that come into the league, and certainly a guy that did not come from the most well-known college and most well-known program. So you didn't quite know exactly what you were getting, but there was something there. When he was playing in the reserve league games, he was always scoring goals. The goals were always there. It was just a matter of translating that from being a reserve player to then being the guy out on the field, being the man, the guy who's going to score the goals. And that transition is not always easy. But there was an amount of confidence there that once he was given that position, say, here you go, Wando, here's your chance, here's your moment, and he took full advantage of that. And it was his second go around with the San Jose Earthquakes where he really thrived, and maybe had to do something with the dimension of Buckshot Stadium where they play some of the games, and he really took off there. That because it's a smaller field, because the dimensions are not what they usually are, you're going to get a lot of rebounds, and you're going to get a lot of balls and bounces that are going to go your way. But you have to be the guy that reads those bounces, and you have to have the guy that has the instinct to get on the end of those things. And once he got on a run, he became unstoppable and became a very clean finisher. And now you don't score that amount of goals by accident. And so many players that have gone through this league, that amount of goals is impressive, and he's not done. He's a guy that will always find chances because he'll always find himself in positions where the ball is going to be at his feet, somewhere inside the 18-yard box. That's where he does his best job. Yeah,
I thought his humility after the goal, which actually broke the record, where he followed it in on the goalkeeper's mistake. He said, I'll do that 1,000 times, 999 times. The keeper just catches it. And I was lucky enough to be that. I mean, he's a very humble guy, and even speaking about the fact that he was excited that Landon Donovan even knew who he was, which, it's an overstatement in some regards, because he's been around, he's done it national team level as well. He deserves to have this record.
Oh, he does. And it's a tremendous guy and a tremendous professional. And a guy that, and I'll repeat this because I think it's worth saying it again, that there must have been a lot of moments over the course of his career in the early years where he must have questioned himself. And we all go through that at some point or another. The difference is that he was struggling to make money. And in the end, you're a professional player, and yet you can't behave like one because you're not getting paid accordingly. And so you have to think, man, I don't know if this is for me. And yet, he believed in what he had in front of him, and the work was always there, and the attitude was always there. And his ability to say, you know what? Today is my day to train. Today is my day to prove myself. Today is my day to maybe make a case for himself. And maybe that was realistic, maybe it was unrealistic, but he believed it, and that's the important thing. And so every day he came to work, and every day he did some finishing, and every day he proved that he could score goals, and eventually he got an opportunity and make the most of that opportunity.
Well, congratulations to him. It is tremendous. As Ali says, he's far from done, says he's having a blast at the moment, obviously reinvigorated after his first goals of the new season as well. But
I'll be having a blast too at 148 goals, I'll tell you so.
But he wants more wins. He wants his hands on a trophy. Let's see if it happens 16 years into his career, but never say never when Wondo's about.